Hey, what's going on, everybody? I hope you're doing well. Man, it is Sunday, March 1st. It's the start of a new month. And as always, we know that man, the way you start the month is so very, very important. And lately I've been getting a lot of questions from folks. And we do a lot of stuff. We've got our 15 minutes to mastery. We've got all of these different things that just allow us to bring you as much information, content. Let me do this real quick. Let's see what we got here. There we go. There you are. So yeah, just adjusting this camera, man. So we got 15 minutes to master. We've got a whole bunch of content we put out. We were just in Scottsdale this past week with our MH Sales Mastery Live and a whole bunch of other things that we do to get you as much information. And so one of the things that I know that I haven't done a lot of lately for myself personally on my own social media has been getting you guys information from me, getting you content directly from me. The team's been doing a great job on all our platforms. And but I wanted to come in today. Been working the majority of the day today on different things for different projects, and we're moving along, we're scaling, we're growing. And so I wanted to give you the opportunity to come in and we're going to spend some time together here over, I don't know, at least the next 30 minutes, 30, 45 minutes, and kind of sharing different information, giving you a little more insight into what we've got going on. Mainly, I want to be on here for you because I know that a lot of times you've got questions that come up. You've got situations that may arise, whether it's with customers or at the office. Hey, how do you deal with this situation, inter-office dealings and things of that nature? I want to use this opportunity strictly for that. I want to be here and answer that. But for those of you that are new to us, so for those of you that maybe haven't been a part of what we've had going on here at MH Sales Master, I want to give just a little bit of insight, right? Because some of you have been wondering, like, well, why would I even ask this guy a question? I've asked myself the same thing sometimes, in all honesty. But the reality of it is the reality of it is this. My gosh, it's hard to speak today. When it comes to life, when it comes to business, and when it comes to sales, and there have been so many different things that I've been involved in throughout my life. But really, in the last 10 to 15 years, since I got into the manufactured home industry, manufactured home sales, and that was out of necessity, man. I'll tell you more about that as we go along. But when I got into this, I really started to notice a change taking place in me, right? Some of it good, some of it bad, and then especially over the last 5 to 10 years, a lot of it really, really good. But I do know that there's a lot of things that happen, a lot of things that come up in your career that you either don't get the opportunity to ask at your office, to your leadership, to management, or whomever it may be. And you also don't get the opportunity to ask us directly, right? And so I want to use this opportunity for you to be able to do just that. I want you to have an open forum where you can come in and speak about this while I'm talking to you about what we've got going on, right? So that you know how we can work well together and what you could benefit from what we're doing and how it can benefit you in your life, how it can benefit you in your business, in your relationships, all of that stuff. Because as I tell everybody that I have the honor and privilege to be able to serve throughout the years, what we do in business, how we carry our business, what you do in your office will spill over into your personal life. It'll spill over into your dealings with family and friends, right? And so, with that being said, we want to make sure that you come in and you ask those right questions so that you can act accordingly and then it carry on into your personal life. Just this week, yesterday, as a matter of fact, just yesterday, we put out our latest podcast. Right, we have the Manufactured to Win podcast, and I appreciate it, Oakley Bennett. I appreciate you subscribing to the channel. Please, everybody on here, if you would, man, that'd be great. Subscribe to our YouTube channel or whatever platform you're watching on this. Like and subscribe. It only allows us to do more for you for free, right? But check it out. Like I was saying, this past week we just launched our latest episode of the Manufacture to Win podcast, in which we're coming in here. I had the honor of being able to interview three of my sons. They were with me in the studio. You guys have met Jackson probably or seen him. He's been traveling with me over the last year and a half or so, doing videography and things of that nature for our business. But also had our two youngest, which are our 12-year-old and our 8-year-old, Christian Sebastian. Christian and Sebastian, whichever is easier for you to say, right? Had them with us, and we were talking over what it takes to be a leader today, what it takes to be able to really make an impact in people's lives. And guys, I'm here to tell each and every one of you the what you do, how you do it, how you handle yourself, all of that, folks, has an impact on your loved ones, on your kids, on everybody around you, right? And so you want to make sure that you're operating to the best of your ability, that you're carrying yourself, man, at the highest level because they are watching. They are there. Check it out. So that's the episode right there. You can go on our YouTube channel. It just came out yesterday, episode 23, right? We're talking about building leaders. You're a leader. Every single one of you on here is a leader. You're a leader to your clients, you're a leader within your team. More importantly, you're a leader to your own loved ones, your children, your spouses, your brothers, your sisters, your parents, everybody who's watching you. And you know why they're watching you? They're watching you because you decided to get into sales. And the reality of it, most people think that when somebody gets into sales, the majority of people are looking on the outside, they're watching you to see when you fail. They may be telling it to your face, man, I know you can do it. Oh, you're great with people and this and that, right? But sales just doesn't make sense to most people because of the fact that you have got to, in sales, you're going to be you're going to earn what you're worth, right? And so most people are expecting you to fail. They're expecting, especially when you're in commission-based sales, they think that you're not going to make it. And they're, well, why are you going to do that? Why don't you get a real job and things of that nature? And so in that watching, when you start to act differently, when you start to operate differently, when you start to carry yourself differently, and then when you start to win, right? Because it takes some time. Everybody thinks that they're going to be able to get into sales. They expect it to be like a job, and that right off the bat, it's going to be what you need it to be. But over time, as you start becoming this person you need to become, and those same people that are watching to see if you fall, to see if you fail, hoping, some of them, unfortunately, hoping that you fail so they can say, I told you, I don't know why you did that, and things of that nature. Those people that are watching you over time, they start to see those changes in you, and then it starts to have an effect on them. Especially like in this episode of the podcast, right? The effect that has had on our children has been overwhelmingly positive. Have there been some downsides to it? Of course there has been. I spent a lot of time, even when I was still in retail manufactured home sales, right? I would spend a lot of time at the office. I spent a lot of time with away from my family, working Saturdays, being there early, staying late, missed a lot of parties and sporting events and things. We sacrifice so much. You sacrifice so much. And so there's some things that do you wish you could change? Of course there is. But what I will tell you this, that when you start to operate differently, they notice, they see it. And I invite you to take a look at that podcast. If you're watching us right now on YouTube, it's there in the video section, episode 23. We've got it called Building Leaders. It's there so that you can see the effect. But look, again, this is for you. What kind of questions do you have going on right now that I can answer you? Because I can share all kinds of different experiences from that we've had helping sales consultants and community managers and owners, general managers, all the likes. I can share all these experiences for days. Right. But I want to open up this platform to you on different situations that you've got going on or things of that nature. Right. And I'm going to make it a point to do this on a regular basis so that we can help you in throughout these Q&A sessions that we do from here on out, right? Now, check this out. Over this past week, you guys may have seen we were bombarding you. If you're on our social media, you got bombarded with story after story after story of what we were doing in Scottsdale, Arizona, right? If for our manufacturer to win, I'm sorry, that's a podcast for our MH Sales Mastery Live that we did in Scottsdale. And I'm here to tell you, man, that was overwhelmingly one of the best experiences that I've had. And I'm gonna be very frank with you. Leading up to it, even with my team, I was like, man, I just don't know. It doesn't feel like we're gonna have the right thing going on. I don't know if it's gonna be what we need it to be. But I'm also going to tell you this, for those of you that have ever felt that you just haven't been where you needed to be, right? You're always doubting yourself. For high achievers, if that's you, man, you're always going to wonder whether or not you truly are going to accomplish what you should be accomplishing. You're always going to feel behind, right? And so check it out. I'm going to bring up this screen so you guys can see what I'm talking about. So not that one. Let's see here. What we're talking about is MH Sales Mastery Live. What we did last year in 2025 is we put together this program that we wanted to bring to you. We wanted to bring you this opportunity where you, the individual sales consultant, you, the individual community manager or whomever, could take time to invest in yourself, could do for yourself without having to be a part of a company that's investing with us, right? And we know that some of you work for some companies that have yet to partner up with us. And so what we did is we decided to create this program. We call it MH Sales Mastery Live. And in this, we go to specific cities. So last week we were in Scottsdale. We spent 3 days with these great group of people. We had people there from Washington State, from California, Arizona, obviously, Tennessee. We also had people from Colorado. One more, I can't remember what, right? But anyway, check it out. In this event, we had some great speakers right there on the screen right now. You see Duncan Metz from the Mobile Home Guys. He closed out the event on Thursday with great information on what you as an individual sales consultant can do to be able to improve your marketing, use AI and things of that nature to increase your lead flow, right? We had Matt Nino with Cavco Industries. We had Thomas Dixon with Dynamic Home Repair, Thomas Dunn, the president of MHIA, the state, there he goes right there, Thomas Dunn, the president of the Manufactured Housing Institute of Arizona. We also had James Connolly from Trove. We had great food, man. All of this, we do this so that you can invest in yourself, come be around. We had close, I don't know, close to 40 people that were there, right, from all over the country, where you can get in and learn from each other. I loved the fact we had Matt Nino, like I mentioned, from Cavco Industries, right? The president of retail sales. There you see David Finney with Build Media. He was there as well speaking. But Matt Nino, in his keynote speech, he brought up a great point. He said, the answers are in the room. And what he meant by that was that everybody there learns from each other, right? You bring up a question, you ask for help on a certain scenario, and then you start getting input from all these people that how they do it that works for them. And that right there, folks, was so impactful to see happen. And we've seen it growing and more as we've done each of these MH Sales Mastery Lives. We've got a lot more interactivity. We're getting better in the way we present it. We had a brand new book for it, right? This was last year's book that we had for 2025. Sorry, I've got the blur on, but this was the 2025 book. We did a whole new book for 2026. And in that, what Matt was saying was the answers are always in the room, right? And so everybody was sharing ideas. It wasn't just me coming up with, hey, this is how you do it. This is how the best way to handle it. But everybody working together to make that happen. And the great thing about it, what I love even more about it is this, and I'd love for you guys to jump in on this, right? One thing that I've noticed in my 17 plus years in the manufactured home industry is most of leadership, ownership has tried to keep the individual sales consultant away from other people in the industry, right? And when they have these events, when there's these trade shows, when there's all these things, you always see upper management, mainly ownership, but sometimes you'll see upper management at these things. But what you hardly ever see are these sales consultants at these things because they're afraid that you're going to talk to somebody else from another company and they're going to entice you to come and work for them. And like I've always told them from the beginning, if you have the right culture at your location within your business, you don't have to worry about anybody leaving, man. They can go to these events and spend time together with all these folks. And all it's going to do is it's going to empower them even more to come and operate even better, even stronger at your location. Right? You see there in all these videos, all these folks that were there, man, like I said, there's people from all over the country. We even had people from Clayton Homes. We had people that were from all types of retailers and communities. We even had a couple of people that were getting started in the industry, looking to buy into communities, right? And this is a great opportunity for you to be able to be a part of this. We actually have one coming up in May in Chicago. So those of you that didn't get out to Scottsdale, you can be with us in Chicago. But like I was saying originally, the whole reason we started with this was for you. And it's funny how it all started. We were going to put on a training event, what we call immersion sales training. It's a week-long training. We were going to do that when we were still back in San Antonio as our home office. Now we've moved up to Frisco since then. We're in Frisco, Texas, that Dallas Fort Worth area. We've been up here since I believe July of last year of 25. But anyway, we were going to do this class, and I thought, you know what, be fantastic to put something together where people can invest in themselves. We bring in speakers. We have a good time. We have food, we hang out, we learn from each other. We have a curriculum in place as well, right? Like I had mentioned, like this, what we did last year in 2025, and then this year's completely different. But anyway, we did it, right? We tried it out. And at our San Antonio one in May of 2025, we had one person show up. That was a little awkward, but at the same time, it was a great learning experience, and it gave us the opportunity to make it even better. And so we did one in June in Scottsdale, same hotel, and we had 3 people there. And I was like, okay, well, I mean, it was still disappointing. I'm not going to lie. And it cost us a lot of money to do. And oh my gosh, it was crazy. But anyway, we did it. Then in July, we did it in Orlando, and we had 19 people show up. I'm like, okay, all right. Well, now we're moving, right? And every ticket that we would get a notification that got sold, man, I was excited, just like you, right? When you get a buyer who comes in and decides to move forward with you, or when you get that approval come through, every time that an approval comes through, and you know that buyer was ready to go, and so you get excited. That same feeling we were having. Every time we see that email came through, somebody bought a ticket. And we had some great speakers at that one, and in May, it was just me. In June, we had Mindy Parrish with Parrish Consulting. She came out to Scottsdale and spoke there. So she did a presentation, and then I did the rest of the stuff. In July in Orlando, we had Mark Bowersox, president of MHI. We had Shannon McCullough with back then she was with Capco Industries. We also had Joe Costello, man. Joe Costello with QuickBit Internet. That guy was just awesome speaker and presenter. And myself, right? So now we had 4 different people presenting. And then in October of last year, we did it in Dallas, Texas. And oh my gosh, man, that one was just phenomenal. We had probably a good 40 people there at that one, but the lineup of speakers, just hands down, man, was awesome. My old boss and mentor, Joe Kesterson, JK, he opened up with a keynote. We had David Finney with Build Media, Thomas Dixon with Dynamic Home Repair, Joe Costello with QuickBit Internet. We also had I think those were the only 4 speakers, but man, it was oh, we also had a panel, presentation of 2 brand new sales consultants, and they were sharing what they were doing in marketing and how it was working for them, and it was just a great event. That was the first time we did a networking mixer before it all started, and that was fantastic, man. We had a great time when it came to that. And so this time, as we started 2026 in Scottsdale, hands down the best one to date. I'm not comparing speakers. I'm just saying overall the event. And that's how business goes, right? And that's how your business goes. When you're out there selling, it grows over time. You've got to give yourself time. You've got to give time for that cake to bake. You can't speed it as fast as I would love to go because you guys know, man, I preach you got to move quick, you got to be quick, you got to go fast, you got to be urgent with everything. Business is still going to go at its pace. In other words, it's going to take you the same amount of time to be able to learn the things you've got to learn so that you can overcome different scenarios, different objections, and things of that nature. Right? Those are things you only learn in time. You can't skip that process. But that's the beautiful thing about it. When you look at the name of our company, MH Sales Mastery, Manufactured Home Sales Mastery, the fact that it says mastery in there, sometimes people think they look at mastery as like something that they are going to accomplish at some point and you reach as if it's a goal, right? However, the thing you got to keep in mind is this: mastery is an ongoing process. It never ends, it never finishes. You never truly reach it. Why? Because things are always changing, things are always evolving. There's always something to learn, there's always something to improve. And so that is why we bring you these programs. That is why we continue to bring you information. That's why every year we do our Path to Mastery goal setting webinar, where we've also had great speakers come in, and we do that live online. Uh, all of these things so that you can continue to grow, right? And as I've said from the beginning, guys, look, drop your questions. If you got questions right now while you're sitting there, drop your questions into the comments, and we will answer those for you. That's what this Q&A is all about, right? Is to be able to get you the information, the details that you need. But we talked about MH Sales Mastery live in Phoenix. We talked about our podcast. One of the other great things that we've got for you is we've got all this information, all these different forms of information from our 15 minutes to mastery that I used to is amazing. So if you guys go back through our videos and you go in the live section of YouTube, of our YouTube channel, you're going to see all these segments that were called 15 minutes to mastery. I believe 2 years. No, I'm sorry. I did a little over a year straight, almost 400 and plus episodes every single day, 7 days a week, where I would come in and we would just start the day off, man. 8:15 a.m. 8. Yeah, it was 8:15 a.m. that I would do it, and spent 15 minutes with you, just diving in, going in, and help you get your day started off on the right foot. Because one of the things that I know is this: life comes at you hard. Okay. You can try and make sure that you're prepared to attack the day every day, but man, things happen. Whether it's business related or whether it's personally something that happens, but there's always things that can slow you down, bring you down. And so the way we start our day is so important. That's why I was doing this 15 minutes mastery, to be able to help get you some info that would prime your brain for what you were about to experience at the office. And those things are so important, guys. we talk all the time about mastering sales, right? And techniques and verbiage and word tracks and scripts and all these things, right? And different scenarios and how to feature benefit and how to feature benefit and build value, all of these things. But one thing that most people hardly ever talk about is this thing: how to stand guard at the door to your mind, how to protect yourself from the outside world and those that negativity that exists out there, right? And so I tell you guys, the way you start your day is so important. Who you surround yourself with throughout the day is so important. How you go about your day is so important. Do you get the common theme here? In other words, the things that you have control over, because there are so many things you don't. There's so much out there that you have no control over. But those things that you do, you must be able to make sure that all of those things are stacked in your favor. Who you hang out with, how you start your day, how you perform throughout the day, right? How you end. We're sitting here March 1st. Okay, tomorrow's the 2nd of March. So tomorrow's the first day, the first official work day of the month. How are you going to start it? What are you going to do? I was online checking out some information, some stats and things from a different sales team that we work with. You guys may know already at this point, but you know, I'm involved on a local level here in the North Texas area with the group First Step Homes, and I run their sales team as well. And I was looking at them, and there's several people today that were already working. They're closed, but they were one of them was out there making calls. One's with a customer, I believe, still even right now. That those things matter. How you start your month matters, and so we've got to be able to take control of those things that you have control over, which is your actions and your attitude, how you respond to negativity, how you respond to good things, how you respond to problems that may arise, and then also the amount of work you put in. Those are the only two things that you've got control over. So let me ask you guys a question. Those of you that may be on here right now, okay, what's one thing that you wish you had more control over? In whether it's in your business or in life, what do you feel right now is one thing that you wish you had more control over? Go ahead and jump on in, type it in here, and let's work through that real quick. What's one thing right now you wish you had more control over? Time, Joe, brother. I'm sure everybody on here. I'm sure everybody on here, myself included, wished we had better control over time. Julie typed out, I think it's the same thing, right? Schedules, how to best manage our time. And I'm here to tell you guys what I have found that works best, because it will never be perfect. In sales, your time management will never be perfect in the sense of you never know when that phone's going to ring, right? You never know when that phone's going to ring, and you also never know when that individual is going to walk through the door unexpectedly, whether it's a walk-in or maybe it's a customer you're dealing with right now, and they come in out of the blue to ask questions, and they take you away from the things that you had planned out, right? You could plan out your day as best as you want. You could have it all written out, and that one unexpected call where that walk-in comes in and it throws it out of whack, right? The best way, ladies and gentlemen, that you can manage your time in sales is in blocks. You've got to master time blocking, not so much an actual set schedule. Now, you can schedule things for the morning. I highly believe that you can definitely schedule things from 5 a.m. to about 8, maybe even 9 o'clock. But after that, man, nothing can really, you can schedule things out, but it's going to be moving back and forth. Why do I say between 5 and 8 or 9? Because that's when most people are either asleep or or they're busy getting ready for their day. So they're not going to be bugging you about things, right? So between 5 and 8, if you've got things that be done, must be done to move the needle, that is the best time to have it scheduled because that's when you will have less interruptions on the phone. And you definitely probably are not going to have walk ins at 5 or 6 in the morning. Okay. If you do, great, great for you. But most do not, right? So time blocks is the best way. Schedule things early, get up earlier. Yes, that means you got to get up earlier. That was the only way that I could schedule back when I was working out twice a day and in the best shape of my life. We'll get into that story some other time, but I used to have to get up at 4:30 in the morning so that I could be at the gym by 5, so that I could be done by 5:45, a little before 6, and get back home and get showered, get ready, and then still tackle a few things for another hour and a half before I would leave to the office, right? But after that, guys, you got to switch to time blocks. And what do I mean by that? Well, you've got to block out X amount of time for phone calls. You got to block out X amount of time for pushing your pipeline. You got to block out X amount of time for training. Now you may be able to get your training done early or maybe late at night once everybody's gone to bed. You can schedule that, right? But between 9 and 5 or 6 or however late you go on a regular basis, between those times you got to work off of time blocks. Because what that does for you, if you're saying I'm going to spend an hour in the morning and an hour in the afternoon making phone calls, well, that can move, right? You don't have it because when the moment you start saying that from 10 to 11, I'm going to make phone calls, and the more and more you get disrupted during that, guess what happens? That now becomes something that you no longer do because, well, I had it between 10 and 11 and I didn't get to do it today. So I'll leave it off for tomorrow. And then tomorrow, something else happens and you're not doing it. What needs to happen is it's an hour worth of calls in the morning. And if you did get pulled away from either having to answer a certain question to a lender or having to jump into a walk-in, right, presentation, well, that hour block moves later on and you still get it done. And guess what? Sometimes that means that you don't finish your day at the time you thought you were going to finish. Sometimes you got to get those things done. That's the one thing I will share with each and every one of you is this. If you want to truly operate at another level, you want to be a high performer, you want to truly succeed in sales or in business, you're there are going to be times, most of the time, that you are going to have to put in work when you didn't want to. You're going to have to put in work after hours. Well, Caesar already do that. Okay, great. Well, how effective are you being with that? Right? And so that's why you got to have what we call your non-negotiables. What are the 4 or 5 tasks that must get done today, Sunday, even on Sunday, right? That's the other thing. Are you preparing today for the week? Are you preparing today for the month? Are you preparing today for the rest of this quarter? We're in the last month of the first quarter of 2026. I'm sorry. Are you preparing for that last month? Have you compared it to where you're supposed to be based on your goals and where you're lacking or maybe where you're ahead? All of those things. Or are you kind of just going through today and then tomorrow you're going to show up and then you're wondering why you're so out of whack and you don't even know where to start. You guys are saying on here, right? Not to say that you're suffering from this, Joe or Julie or anybody else, right? That asked about how can I take better control of my time. But the majority of people will show up tomorrow morning with no plan, having not thought anything out and not really knowing where they're even at with their business. And then they wonder why they feel lost. And then they wonder why they lose so much time. They wonder why they can't get things done because they don't plan things out the day before. Today, Sunday, they're not planning out for tomorrow, Monday. They're not planning out for the week ahead. They're not planning out for the month of March. They're not planning out for where they're at in the quarter. See, all of those things go hand in hand, but that's a great question, Julie and Joe. Time. How do we better manage time? How can I take more control of my time? Do things before the day starts, before you have to get to the office. Do as much as you can before. So that means wake up extra early, get it done, and then work off of time blocks throughout the day. not set schedules, time blocks. Block out time for calls, block out time for marketing, block out time for pushing your pipeline, block out time for training. But understand that those 4 blocks must get done daily. And the more you do it daily, the further and further you get ahead, and you will surpass anybody else that is around you, because most people do not do that. Time blocking, time blocking, time blocking, right? Is what I'm going to tell you is the best time. So Joe had a question: how can I best manage time? Julie, the same thing, schedules, right? And I'm going to put here in the chat: you must use time blocking. That is going to help you guys move that further along. What else is something that you guys wish you had better control over? What's one thing that you wish you had more control over? Like I said, whether it's in your business or whether it's in your own personal life. What is that? That's something that keeps getting in the way of you executing at a high level. Okay. What is something that is slowing you down or making maybe that you're struggling with, that within the sales process, or maybe in your marketing, or maybe in the way in scheduling appointments, whatever you got, man. Look, I'm going to be on here. We're going to call it 45 minutes. So I'm going to be on here another 8 minutes. Throw your questions in the chat and let's get them addressed. Okay. One of the things that, and in the meantime, while we get some more questions on here, I'm going to go ahead and share something with you guys that we've been hearing a lot of for those of you in the community space. Okay, because there was people at MH Sales Mastery Live in Scottsdale last week that brought this up as well. Okay, there's a lot of you out there that run into the objection about site rent, right? And how can you best deal with site rent? Okay. And so for those of you out there, maybe that are in the community space, I know Julie is, if Julie's still on here, okay? What exactly is site rent? In your mind, what is site rent? In your mind, why does site rent exist? Okay. What is it? How does it benefit a buyer to have site rent? Because that's where a lot of folks get caught up, right? We start talking about lot rent or site rent, and you're making it seem as though it's just the dirt underneath the house, just that piece of property. And yeah, if you got site rent that's 1,000, 1,200, 1,500, heck, in Scottsdale, Matt Nino was talking about some communities in California where the site rent is over $5,000 a month, site rent alone. Okay. So for those of you out here in the Texas area, or anywhere else that you've got 5, 6, 700, $1,000 site rent, and you're thinking that that's way too high, imagine it being over $5,000 a month. Okay. So I'll break this down for you guys as we wrap up for this episode of Q&A. And don't forget, those of you that have not done it yet, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, whatever platform you're on right now watching this, because this is streaming live to several different platforms. Okay. I would ask that you please like or subscribe, whatever channel or platform you are on right now watching this. Become a part of our group here. Okay. And if you're on Facebook, okay, please do that. Also, if you're on Instagram, the same thing. If you're on our YouTube channel, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, because the more you do that, the more the information gets out there to everyone and more people can run across this. Let's see, JK Gaming. I will shout out your friend, huge. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. You thought you were gonna get me, JK Gaming, didn't you? You thought you were gonna get me to say it. I almost said it. I almost said it. All right. If you guys have not seen this comment, this is hilarious. Okay. Here we go. I can check this out. All right. JK Gaming put on there. Can you shout out my friend Hugh Jazz? Oh, yeah. I was this close. I was this close, brother or sister, whoever you are, man, to saying shout out to huge ass. Uh, oh man, you guys are hilarious. Let's see. Julie, the problem is a lot of these parks are 55 and over. There was only a 2.5 Social Security increase. The parks are all 5% plus increase. We are pricing. There you go. Yes, you're right. We are. We are. That is definitely something that is happening, right? Christy Fulmer, you're very, very welcome. Please share this with everyone, right? But hey, but Julie, let's address this real quick, okay? Oh man, huge ass. Oh my gosh, I almost said it. I would have felt like a dip. Anyway, so check it out. All right. When it comes to site rent, yes, some people are getting priced out of it. No ifs, ands, or buts. I'm not denying that. I am not running away from that. That is so true, right? But that's the nature of the beast. That there's nothing that's one of the things you have no control over, Julie. Unfortunately, right? We focus on the things we've got control over. And the only thing that we do have control over is okay, now who are we presenting this product to, right? And so Julie continues to write here. It's really tough to sell to Central Florida right now. Well, I will also go on the other side of it, Julie. Okay. The way I look at it this way, even in Florida, on average, there's about 8 to 9,000 manufactured homes that are sold every year. I would venture to say that Julie or anybody else out there selling, okay, um, is looking to if you closed on 50 homes a year, Julie, does that make it a win for you? Is that a good year for you being able to close on 50 homes a year? Uh, and I always start there for folks, right? Let's see what we can do to get you to 50 closings in a year. All right. Because if you shoot for 50, you may end up somewhere around 30, 35, which in most cases is more than what most sales consultants have done, but it starts to open up the door. But let's say 50. We're talking about 50 out of 9,000 in Florida. The benefit of Florida, especially right now with what's going on in states like New York and Minneapolis, right, and California, people are trying to get out of there. People are trying to get out of these states. Florida's always been that area where people have gone to go move or live there during the winters, but now people are looking to move into those areas, just like in Texas, full time. They're trying to get out of the craziness going on. So right now, I would be marketing my butt off into those states. Is it a little harder? I'd venture to say right now, when you say it's really tough to sell in Florida right now, it's not that there's not buyers. It's just it's more work for us. Yes, I acknowledge 1,000%. It's harder to get them to commit, but there are more buyers than ever trying to move into Florida, more buyers than ever trying to move into Texas, more buyers than ever trying to get out of these states that can buy that home cash, right? But now you got to overcome that whole site rent situation that you got going on. And the best way to do that is to help them understand that by going with a land lease model, okay, by going with a land lease model, this is the way that they can get into a home with the lowest barrier of entry. What do I mean by that? If somebody's going to finance a home, their down payment is going to be a lot less on a home that does not include land, right? They're not getting a mortgage for land and home. So their mortgage, their 5%, 10% down, or whatever it may be, is only on the house. And so let's say the house is $100,000. That means $5,000 out of pocket. And you know that there are no closing costs. On top of that, there may be origination fees and things of that nature, but I'm saying the traditional closing costs of a real estate transaction. So it's a lower barrier of entry to get into that product. The other side of that is this. If you were going to be purchasing a home right now, even if you were buying cash, well, okay, well, they're going to buy cash, so they don't have down payment. Great. They're only having to pay $100,000 as opposed to 400, 500, $600,000 to buy cash on a site built home, right? And I completely get where Alien Cowboy Farmer is coming from when he says that his or her home is in a van down by the river. Chris Farley, Saturday Night Live, fantastic. You know what? As a matter of fact, one of our speakers at MH Sales Mastery Live this past week brought up that analogy, brought up that little skit. Build Media's own Dave Finney was talking about that. He had that whole thing in his presentation. But now you got Sprinter vans that cost you several $100,000, right? You got these conversion vans that are beautiful homes, vans that you can live down the river by. But anyways, look, going back to Julie's scenario, barrier of entry is a lot less, Julie. If they're financing, they are only having to put down payment on the house, right? If they're buying cash, lower price, lower dollar amount that they're going to be paying for that home out of pocket. The other side of this, most of the time, these homes, especially in the new home market, if you're trying to sell a new home in a community, most times that new home is sold tens of thousands of dollars below the price of what a retailer would be selling it for. Right, right here on the call. I don't know if he's still with us, but we had Jesse Pena, who is a owner of a retail location in East Texas. The reality of it, Jesse knows this, and most retailers know this. The reality of it is all communities usually sell their homes that somebody like Jesse could sell as well. They're selling them for a lot less, the community is, than what a retail location can sell them for, because that community is playing the long game, and their return on investment is based on the lease of the land and not so much the sale of the home. So, Julie, somebody paying $30,000 below market value is getting, if it's $1,000 a month in site rent, they're getting 30 months free site rent when you take in consideration the instant equity they're picking up on the purchase of their home. So there's different things, okay? There's different things. Abraham Lincoln, no, I have not. Being honest with you, I have not. So there are different things that benefit the buyer within a community having the lease land model. But I have to simply bring these out, help it make sense, make it make sense for them. So lower barrier of entry, smaller down payment, or they're going to pay cash, lower dollar amount that they're paying cash. So now they can retain more of their funds to live off of. They got more funds in their investments that are making them 5, 10%, depending on what they're invested in. And so now the returns of that can pay off or can continue to pay for that land leases in perpetuity as they're living in this community. And for those of you that are selling in all ages, that's for Julie and the 55 and over, right? These folks are usually a little more well established. They've hopefully, especially those that are moving in from other states, they've got other investments. They got more money than just what they're going to buy there. So that money that they've got can make them investing in a $500,000 home cash. If I had it, well, then that $350,000 I invested in something making me 10%, I can use that investment to pay my land lease every single month. So it's just, how well can I make it make sense to a buyer? That's what I need to look at. That's what I need to decide, what's going to be in this buyer's best interest. And so that would be, and then obviously the amenities that may be in that community. There's so much, folks. There's so much that you can do to help buyers nowadays to get into their home. And there's so much that we need to continue to improve on, increase our knowledge of, and execute at a higher level so that we can be the source of not only be the person that they invest with, but be the source of information. Whatever it is that you would do out there, right? From over here, JK Gaming, trying to get me to shout out huge ass. That's hilarious, man. I keep showing that thing. All right. Or Christy or Joe or Jesse or Julie or Abraham Lincoln are here asking me if I've ever had sex with a chicken. No, I have not. Okay. Guys, you need to be the source of information. I was just reading an article that came out today that Gary Vaynerchuk put out today. I've been quoting Gary for a while now, and especially nowadays, more recently, because he's been talking about the amount of times that you need to be posting on different platforms. But anyways, in today's article, he was talking about how today in today's market, in today's economy, in today's society, you are the brand. You are who people are buying into. It's something that I tell sales consultants all the time, man. You need to market yourself. You need to brand yourself. You need to be that source of information. Yes, I understand your company markets. I understand they've got their website and company Facebook pages and all these things, but you need to be the source. Joe Ceballos in I think you're in Midland, right? You need to be the guy of West Texas, man. You need to be out on every single platform. You need to be putting things out 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 times a day on every platform. You need to be going live like this every single day. You see what Jesslyn's doing out in New Braunfels, man, and she is crushing it. There's so much that you should do. No, I'm good, Abraham. I don't need to try it. So you guys need to be that source. Be the source of information, build trust. If you're selling homes, if you're selling cars, if you're operating a landscaping company, if you're trying to become a plumber, a tattoo artist, I don't care. Be the source of information. And if you do that, you establish yourself that way, I promise you, you are going to have a career that is very, very, very fulfilling. You're going to be highly successful. It's going to take time. That's the one thing. You must be patient. You must have what Andy Frisella refers to as aggressive patience. You need to be patient to see the results, but you need to be aggressive every single day. You need to put in the work every single day. You need to go and attack at a high level every single day. You need to push, and push some more. And then eventually you're going to see the results start to happen. And the more you do it consistently, the higher the faster and the higher the increase in your level of success. But it will take work. And most people around you are going to wonder why you're working so much. Most people around you are going to wonder why you're not sleeping as much. Most people around you are going to think you're crazy because you're passing up on this and skipping on that, and you're not hanging over here. And why aren't you with us? Why don't you go out with us? Why aren't you over here with your family? Why this blah 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 blah? All of these things. You know why I'm doing that right now? Because as the saying goes, I'm willing to live the life. I'm willing to do the things today that most people won't so that I can live the life that most people can't. And if you do that every single day, you, my friends, are going to win. And that's what I want to see out of each and every one of you. All right, look, I got to get back at it, man. A lot of work to get done, still a lot of things to get prepared for the week. But appreciate you guys coming in and spending some time with me. So get on out there, stay at it, and we will come up with a regular schedule for these Q&A sessions along with our 15 minutes of mastery, along with so much more that we're going to be doing. But don't forget to go online right now and go check it out. Go on our website, mhsalesmastery.com, and get yourself signed up for our Chicago MH Sales Mastery Live. It's going to be happening May 5th through the 7th, Chicago, Illinois, man. We've already got the hotel picked out. It's the Michigan. It's on the Magnificent Mile. Okay. It's beautiful hotel, great time. A lot of great things are going to be going on. We're going to be introducing some other special wrinkles. We're going to have some great speakers there as well. And we hope that you're going to be there with us. So don't forget, man, as always, we're here to take your life, your business, and your career to a whole new level. Until then, my friends, as always, I can't wait to meet you.